Okay, so let's play the first video. This one is a little bit different. It's not me talking, making a recording. I've actually edited a class that I was taking. You saw a snippet of it before. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, it's 10 minutes like before. Ciao.
Keith Johnson devised this exercise to shock actors out of their, I don't know, their idea, their own idea that they can't have improvisational dialogue. So he decided to give these actors a bit of electric shock, to shock them out. What I'd like the high status to do, the high status is going to be sitting at home in their castle. We're taking you back in time, 15th century here. And you've got a servant at your foot. I want the servants to get down on the ground and hold the front leg of the chair. Just grab the front leg, that's it. That's it. I don't think this girl has any problems with being high status.
Okay. Now, masters, you are at home in your castle. It's dark, it's dank, you're a miser. And you've got this only one servant. In fact, you don't have any friends. All you've got is one servant. And you're bored, and you're in your castle, and you turn to your servant, and you say, tell me a story. Now, wait. Don't start. At the end of your finger, you have a cattle prod. You know what a cattle prod is? Electric shock. It's usually two, but... Now, listen to the instructions, please.
Okay. Everyone.
Listen to the instructions. We're videoing this. I want to show everybody how much control I have over my class. Now, you have a cattle prod on the end of your finger, and if your servant starts to go, give them an electric shock. Okay? If they even start to become too smarmy, in other words, they start telling a story that's about how they've got this really wonderful master with lots of money, and give them an electric shock for being too smart. You get the idea, masters? The idea is to get them to work hard and talk a lot real fast. Okay, masters. Oh, hang on. Let's do a test. I'd like you to, you're not allowed to let go of the chair. No running around the room, please. I want you to pretend these are concrete blocks you're chained to. I'd like you to test your cattle prod, make sure it's working efficiently. Go. Yeah, that's not enough. Turn up the voltage. Go like this. Get them to convulse. That's the way. That's it. Yes, that's it. Okay, stop. Don't kill them. Remember, this is your servant. They've got to cook dinner for you tonight. Don't kill them.
You don't even die.
Okay. Now the improvisation can begin. It's going to get very noisy in here. I'd like you now to be asked to be told a story. Go.
Tell me a story. Can you tell me a story?
Okay, stop. That's very good. You're doing the exercise correct. Yes, she's scary. Yeah. Swap over. Only one boss there. Are you ready? Do the testing, please. Go. Okay, it works. Don't kill them. I told you. All right, sitting up, please, guys. Now the improvisation can begin. Ask to be told the story. Go. Okay, stop. Stop. Okay, you're doing a very good job. This is what it takes to be a master. So if you can dish out the punishment, that's good. Let them plead for mercy. We're going to swap over again, but this time I'm going to change the relationship a bit. Yes, yes, you can zap them. Okay, now this time we're going to have a nice master. Sorry, Lucky.
Can we zap them because we love them?
Yes, you can zap them. But you know what nice masters say? Nice masters say, this is going to hurt me more than it's going to hurt you. You know the type of character I'm talking about? Hold on now, before you start. You've actually got a nasty servant this time. So I want you to learn to... So the conversation might go something like this. Oh, good fellow, would you mind getting that book off the shelf for me? And the servant might reply, go get it yourself. Okay, so that's how you start your relationship. Are you ready? You don't have to test because... But you're a nice... You've got to find an excuse to test them, even though it hurts you. All right, here we go. Ask to be told a story. Go. Okay, stop. Real nice master over there. Okay, stop. Okay, that one seems to have more conversation to it, doesn't it? There's more diplomacy, you could say.
Just a little bit.
Swap over again, please. Okay, nice master. Nasty servant again, please. Are you ready? Ask to be told a story. Go.
No. 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 I have a protected field on. No, you're not sorry. It's not right. I feel no pain. Stop touching me. Stop it. I don't like you. No, you don't stop it. Fireball. No, you're not. I'm going to protect the field on. Protect him. No. There's only one.
Okay, stop. Okay, we're going to do a little bit of a survey now. The survey is, who liked being the nasty master? Oh. Yeah, okay, next question. Who likes being nasty servant? Yes. Now, what about the nasty master? Did I say that? The nice master we're asking for next. Nice? No, not nice. Being nice?
I like being nice, but we need evil way.
In an evil way, all right. And the subservient servant, the first one.
Let's just kill everybody.
Gee, we got definite decisions being made here. Say that again?
A nasty servant and a nasty master as well.
I guess that would work.
That's just like, rah.
All right. Okay, let me just explain where we're going with this. There are characters that are disrespectful, like the history books say. The Brighella is more of a servant that wouldn't behave. He would say what he's thinking. A master, a nasty master could be the captain, or Pantalone, the old man. He's a miser. He's a grump. You know, he wouldn't have any qualms in putting somebody out with an electric shock. But the nice master might be related to the doctor, el doctore. He wouldn't really sort of be malicious in any way. He's more fascinated with zanies if they do strange things. He sort of studies them like they're some kind of specimen in a dish. It's strange the way this person reacts. Look at that. Someone without a brain.
Okay, nearly caught me unaware there. Abrupt finish. Okay, so that's a favorite improvisation technique I use because it gets a lot of mileage for establishing the high and low status. Once you've done this exercise, of course, you can start talking about the relationship between the high and low status, the high status characters, and the zannis. So what did you think?
I really liked the exercise, and for me, given that the conversation we've been having is how to drop it into every class, I was reflecting on the exercise of how I would use it with our set texts in year 11, and we currently are looking at DNA in year 11, and there is a lot of status work that goes on, and so just cheekily kind of starting and beginning for them to look at status, that's a brilliant exercise for them just to do, without them knowing that it's Commedia or anything like that, but just as a really good exercise. So yeah,
there are stages of development with that as well. Like you run it once and they're just trying it all out, but if you do it again and again and again, like regular training, which is what I've been on about, you're quite right, is that when they come to the nice master and the nasty servant, I allow the master to get up off the chair and walk around and, you know, lean on the mantelpiece and sort of make it like one of those old, what am I trying to think of? The
drawing room.
Yes, the drawing room play. Yes, thank you very much.
Manners.
Yes, and so they get much more sophisticated with the attitudes. I call it the white privilege now. It's such a used word now, but it's exactly what's going on, is that you have this person who is, you know, they seem to be coming off as a gentleman, but they're really quite, like one of the boys was saying, can I zap my friends now? And I say, no, you're a nice master. But I said, if you can find an excuse why to zap them, and one of the examples that we talked about afterwards was saying, look, I have to test the electric probe because I don't know whether the batteries are actually charged. I mean, like if I need to use it and the batteries are not charged, I'm going to be a fool. So I have to test them before we start. You know what I mean? Like it's common sense, really.
I love all those little games.
I should mention also that the next step, again, from that, is that you don't have a cattle prod all the time. You don't have a cattle prod in a play. So how do you do this? Well, what I usually do, this works very well with the captain, is that you use a word. It could even just be a name of the zanni. For example, the captain might be talking to the audience and you have an overzealous valet. So the zanni is the captain's servant. And the The zany's always straightening his dress, making sure he's looking good and fussing, spitting on his shoe and polishing it. And of course, the captain's trying to talk, but he keeps on getting distracted. And so every time he says the word, zany, the zany reacts as though he got an electric shock. So it's the word you choose. I tell them this as their director. I say, the word you use has got to have an effect on the servant so much that it's like he's having an electric shock. And it works really well because the audience, they see the reaction from the zany and they think, my God, what does that captain do behind closed doors with his servant? Must whip him, must thrash him with an inch of his life. This is the kind of thing we want. So you've got a physical representation of their relationship. It works a gem. And the kids like doing it too.
Tony, that kind of exercise, I've actually also done it on quite heavy duty plays that look at relationships between people. And that same concept of every time they hear a key word, they really react to it, really says something and shows something about the character's relationship. And it's a really interesting exercise, especially if it's like a husband and wife situation, or if it's like when we've been looking at some Indigenous plays like Stolen, or if we're looking at Parramatta Girls, some Australian plays that looked at the girls' home in Parramatta. Again, you had master-servant relationships in there. And so you could use this kind of exercise to explore that concept and then translate it into, a realistic play, a naturalistic play. And you could really get a good sense of a relationship. And so this is a great exercise, as we said, sneak it in as drama, you know what I mean? And then use it later. And you can even say that to the kids. Do you remember when we did that exercise? Look how it translates to this. So that's what we need to do, the training.
Yes, always start this one with storytelling warm-ups. So there's no problem with the zanies having to come up with a story. One of the benefits of this is that the zany gets to be very clever with their storytelling as to not get zapped. So they start to become cunning. And this is what you want. You want them to rehearse being a low status servant, but become cunning in the ways of surviving in this world of high and low status. So you can see it in Servant of Two Masters, where the main character is trying to please all of the masters all the time, and so he makes up excuses to cover his tracks of why something hasn't been done. So this exercise can actually encourage the actors that are going to play the low status. In the survey, I would actually take notice who puts up a hand up and saying, oh, I like being nasty master. And the ones who said, oh, I like being the servant, the low status servant. And because they're casting themselves. And I say to them, don't worry, you're not typecasting. I always say that because I say, you're just using your strengths. Yeah, it'd be silly to be cast in the wrong role. Okay, you be the captain. And they go, oh, no, I don't like being high status. And well, you got to do it. You're an actor. That's not good, I don't think. Try and, exploit their natural, mode of operating. That's what I'm trying to say. Exploit their skills that they have. Later on, they can try and learn to be high status, I say to them. Yeah. Okay, and when I get them to start doing skits and rehearsals, like that example I just said before about the captain having a valet who's overzealous and keeps on getting beaten down, the beauty of this is that the captain is going to walk out on stage and give a great long speech, or at least the audience thinks so, about what he's going to do, his travels and his whatever the story depicts. But he keeps on getting interrupted by his servant. And that means he never actually gets to deliver his story. The whole skit is this double act. You get what I mean? So the students realize that they don't have to go out on stage and deliver a perfect speech. I don't know how that's going to play with your written text, Holly, but at least you can feed in the business to distract the actor from just standing there doing a monologue. They actually have the real world to contend with while they're doing their written text. So that's what I offer, and also there's other things too, like the favorite routine that I do with Pantalone and the servant is that Pantalone comes out on the stage, is going to talk to the audience. It's just going to be him, and he's got a lackey servant, and he says, "Bring me my chair," offhanded. And of course, he's talking to the audience, and he wanders across the stage. The Zany puts the chair down, but Pantalone's walked away. And then he goes to sit down and goes, "Zany, I thought I told you to bring me my chair." And he goes, "Well, I did. I brought the chair," because the audience can see that the Zany is innocent. And so the audience is starting to become, on the Zany side, because they can see the difficulty. He picks up the chair and puts it behind Pantalone. And as Pantalone continues talking, he walks across the other side of the stage. And then he turns around and goes, "Where's my chair?" And they go, "Well, it's here. I brought it here because you were standing here." "No, you're stupid, Zany. You know what? You don't do anything." And that's where you get that electric shock thing where, okay. And then brings the chair across. Now, usually these kinds of routines happens in threes. I think we've spoken about that. And the third time, something's different where maybe the Zany follows Pantalone's backside around wherever he goes, waiting for him to sit down. There's many different variations. The Zany could sit on the chair and just give up. And just say, well, if he's not going to sit on it, I'm going to sit on it, and he gets in a whole lot of trouble. So there's many different things you can do. So I actually recommend duos or trios, like you could have one master, two servants, as assessment tasks. These are perfect. Yeah. You can sort of get hold of it if you've just got 3 people to work with, or two people, and that can be their assessment task. They rehearse it and they're able to improvise a little bit, because if you're allowed to interact with your audience during an assessment task, I'm not too sure. But yeah, I think that these are much more successful. Yeah. Does that work for assessment?
Yes.
Yeah.
Good.
Very much so. The good thing about it also is that you're not trying to get too many students negotiating rehearsal time and all that kind of stuff. It's easy to get 2 people, even 3 people together to rehearse.
I also think, given the current state of the world, in 2s or 3s and small groups is where we're going anyway. Okay. Well, at least in the UK, how we'll end up back in the studio is not massive ensemble for the foreseeable future.
So this one is an exercise that I created. So I don't have to, credit anybody. My kids were playing a game in the car one day as we're heading down the coast to see Grandma, and we started playing this "But Why" game. And I explained it in the video, but I just wanted to let you know that when my kids were just saying "But why," I was driving and I was over-explaining everything, and all they said was "But why?" Now, I found that this is what the doctor does. The doctor over-explains things, and so I turned it into an exercise to train actors to try and find the nonsensical jargon-talking doctor. Yeah. Now, I recommend that you set this up as like it's an audition. You don't have to tell them that. But if you look at the students, because you probably only have 1 doctor in your play, or you might have 2, maybe 3, but it's not going to be a classroom full of doctors. So look at this exercise as as an audition, that you're actually looking for the ones that enjoy this nonsense talking capability. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, here's that Tony Kishawi again.
One of the things about the doctor is it doesn't actually have to be any story that makes any sense, and that's good. All right, so we're on the right track here. Now, what I'd like you to do is play this game that children play when they say, "But why?" You know, that annoying game. I want you to play that. That's right.
What's that scene?
Now, one of you is going to just have a conversation with this child, but it's very difficult because all they say in return is "but why?" But I want you to try and be a very caring
auntie, uncle, whatever your relationship is to this child, and try and explain the ways and the mysteries of the world to them every time they ask the questions. Shall we do an example? Because I want to make sure you head down the right path. So I want you to say the bitwise.
Okay.
I have a black cat.
Why?
Well, it's a pet, actually. I like to have pets as my company.
But why?
Well, it gives me company because I am alone.
But why?
Well, I guess that's something that has happened over my life.
But why?
Well, I like to be alone, actually.
But why?
Well, it's something about being a hermit. Well, hermits are actually sort of people that used to live in caves and they used to live by. Well, they did that to protect themselves.
Why?
Well, because there were lots of bad things in the world.
Why?
Well, I guess that's kind of like a bit like human nature.
Why?
Well, nature, and we're part of nature. You see, nature runs the whole planet.
Why?
Well, because the planet spins around the sun.
Why?
Well, because we live in the universe.
Why?
Shut up! Okay, very good. Now, you understand how the subject can change because you're getting this, this constant questioning. You don't have to stay on this first subject, which was the cat. I ended up talking about the universe. That's what we want. Are you ready? Who's going to go first? Who's going to be the input? Why?
I'm going to be the kid.
Ready, set, go!
I got a new dog and the name's because she was a I was going to have fun. Because I want to go over that advice stuff where I have because we want a bigger house. Because we like rooms.
I was don't get into this conversation.
Because the sun.
Okay, stop!
We got to the sky.
Who likes saying but why? Bottom supper.
It's so dumb.
Okay, now the purpose of this exercise is to find this crazy stream of consciousness dialogue, which the doctor has is his mode of operandum. Now, if you think of the types of subjects that you're talking about as a tree with lots of branches going off the original idea, then you've got the right approach. If you're actually still following one stream and maybe going back to something you said before, that's called reincorporation. Reincorporating something that was initiated, that's a storytelling technique which is going to be useful, but not necessarily what the doctor will do in his normal talking. Sometimes you might use reincorporation right at the end of your dialogue. You go right back to the black cat in my story here and contradict yourself the way you started. Now that's the doctor's method. He finishes with a fantastic point which contradicts something that he initially started, which the audience go, what? How did he get to that? You know? And that's what we want. We want the audience to think, this guy's crazy. Okay? So, let's see how we can apply this technique. How did you all go with that? Did you find the easy part?
The butt-wise.
Very difficult. The butt-wise, yeah. Same butt-wise easy.
It's like staying off
I want to hear some examples before we go into the mask, because the masks can have their own spirit, as we know. They can take on their own persona, but I would really like you to understand that this is the game that the mask plays, this particular mask plays. So, can I get, let's see, this one. I know she's hiding. The reason why I'm choosing this is because I heard a few times this group I met.
Yes, I'm sure.
This couple. Is that she said at some stage, well, why? Because it was like she was getting frustrated with the answer. Well, I don't know. Is the frustration coming out? And I would really like you to enjoy the diversions rather than want to strangle the child, okay? So let's see if you go. Who wants to be the bit wise?
Me.
Okay.
yard the other day.
But why?
Well, it was like it ran out of my yard and was sniffing a dead seagull and got hit by a truck.
But why?
Well, dogs die every day, I guess.
But why?
Because they don't have 9 lives like cats.
But why?
Because cats, they're the stupid like little hermit people. they have them like little black cats. It's so sad. I don't know.
All right, something there. I don't want you to hurt yourself. Okay, so you can see how she's getting emotionally attached to this frustration. Why are you pushing me this far? All right, the doctor is much more of a calm, optimistic. He will go on to a different subject without feeling any frustration from this constant, but why? Okay, who else wants to have a go? Who enjoyed it?
Lachlan wants something.
Lachlan?
He did, he said he had a break from.
Oh, I had a great one saying better Joe. Sorry.
Joe's next. It's all right, I heard about your soccer and the threats that you were getting. Okay.
I'll say what I
Get a close up, James. No pressure.
Okay. Well, the other day I had a ladder and I was fixing my roof. Why? Well, because the storm hit a hole in the roof. Why? Because lightning struck a tree. Why? Because that's the way the world works. Why? Well, because that's the way the Earth shapes, magnetic stuff. Why? Oh, because the Earth spins on an axis and it creates a magnetic thing. Why? That's the way the galaxy works, I suppose. Everything revolves around the sun. Why? Because there are many galaxies in the Earth. And it's got to somehow... Repeat the question?
Okay, we'll let him off the hook there. But that's correct. But you know what? You know what's missing is your enjoyment of being able to think of all these different reasons. Now, imagine being a philosopher who is talking to a young child, and the idea is to impress that person with your knowledge. And you're looking like, well, it's stuff. You've got to say it with commitment, as though you're an authority. Who gets the idea? Who'd like to continue this little example? No, we got 2. Gripper 2, yes.
Getting away from that.
Okay.
Oh, we're doing that again. Oh, you're blind.
Yeah, I just dipped it.
You dibs it.
Yep. Why?
Why?
That's it. It started already.
Why? Because dibs is a thing that people have made. It's a slang term that people use.
Why?
Because as the English language develops, people sometimes want to use their own variations.
Why?
Because variations are a very important part of life.
Why?
Because life must go on.
Why?
Because it's the natural cycle of the world and everything that lives on it.
Why?
Because things live on worlds.
Why?
Because there's nothing else for them to live on. I mean, you couldn't just live on nothing, you mean?
Why?
Because if you lived on nothing, you wouldn't be able to eat anything, and then
Why?
they die of starvation. People die of starvation because they have a lack of food. It's called malnutrition.
Why?
Right? Because malnutrition is a nice word.
Why?
Why? Well, I believe malnutrition probably came from Latin somewhere, because that's where English usually comes from.
Why?
Because languages were developed so people could communicate, like you and I are.
Why?
Because you're a child and I'm an adult, and you're trying to
Why?
find out ways. Because you were born after me. I was
Why?
born. Because you're younger than me.
Why?
Okay, stop. That's good. That's very good. Very good. You even Now, the reason why we were laughing at that is because of the way you were jumping around and, okay, I'm going to go off on another tangent, which is good.
Because, yeah.
So, malnutrition is a good word. Why? Because it rolls off the tongue. You know, you can make up any reason at all. That's the fun about this. Okay, we came to the end of that one. So,
this is a favorite exercise of mine. I've run it many, many times, and I guess the benefit of this is finding that nonsense, crazy train of thought, and it works a gem. Any thoughts? Oh, you have to unmute. I got you. I've unmuted you, Holly.
Other than I just love it. It's so universal, isn't it? It's like why,
Yes.
why, and you know the level of, and you can just, I suppose it goes one of two ways. Either the other participant gets really frustrated, or then I suppose it's going into a different character. I suppose it's going into the Capitano if they're really enjoying telling this story. I don't know. It's great.
Yeah, well, actually, for the Doctor, I found the Doctor enjoys telling the story of all of his knowledge. So yeah, I kind of break it down into examples because you have to try and get them to get rid of the frustration and enjoy just sprouting your knowledge. It doesn't matter how disjointed it is. And I think I mentioned that the reincorporation, I think that improvisers in, say, a comedy club, usually show their skill by, if they start with something, I mean, even theatre sports competitions, they use this reincorporation. What they do is if they start off with something and it goes off onto a tangent and somehow the actor brings it back to the original topic, reincorporating, the audience usually applause.
Absolutely, because it's amazing.
Yeah, the audience
how did you do that?
How clever, yeah. So it's the actor showing the skill, and I often try and introduce that later if they have an opportunity to perform the Doctor. I usually introduce it during the rehearsals for the performance, so you've already done your casting and so on.
Billy Connolly is very good for that. If you can find examples that don't have too much swearing.
Yeah.
The other one is Michael.
McIntyre.
Michael McIntyre. Oh, love him.
Another one that uses that. Well, he's a comedian, so as you said, Tony, comedians use it quite regularly. This exercise also, like when we're talking about taking it, extending it beyond Commedia as well, I use it very differently in the sense that the person who's asking, but why, has to really focus on what the other person is saying, and then you stop them and go, tell me 4 things they spoke about. And so all of a sudden, instead of them just going, but why, but why, but why? So they're not actually listening. They're just, annoying, which is great for the Commedia. Perfect for that. But if you want to change it around and use it again in a separate drama class, you take the same beautiful exercise and now get them to think about it as a listening, as a concentration exercise, and say, what were 4 things?
I think that would be good for extra training because that was the first time they did that exercise. And so the but why was coming in way too quick. They were only saying a 3 or 4 word sentence and then getting interrupted with the but why.
Yeah.
So it was difficult, and that's why they got frustrated. But this is just a warm up for the main part of this exercise. Yeah. The main part of this exercise is I get them to stand up and I say goodbye to your partner, say thank you, and then I get them to walk around the room and I say, I give them the instructions first, and that is they are to say but why to themselves, for themselves. So they are now walking around the room speaking of all kinds of things, and then they come to an end of a thought and say but why, and then I say to them, use the last word in your sentence that you used as a springboard to the next stream of consciousness dialogue. Do you understand what I mean by that?
Yeah.
Very, very important that you say to them, take the last word in the sentence and use that as a springboard. The reason why is that there's a human instinct tendency to want to continue a story. I try to discourage that, and that's why I let them to get it out first so they can all hear it. And then when we went to the second one, he was kind of jumping around a bit. Oh, there's Liz. She comes in after the videos.
I'm really, really sorry. I'm going to have to go. I've got ballet at 11.
Yes, no worries.
Okay, yes. Yes, I do ballet as well.
Good. Good.
No.
Thank you so much, Tony. Any chance you could email with final thoughts? That'd be awesome.
Yes, okay. Will
Thank
do.
you.
No worries.
Bye, Holly. Nice to have met
Bye.
you.
And you.
I'll put my email in the chat.
I've already got it. I've taken it off.
Thank
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.
And Liz, are you there? You have to unmute yourself. I've got a little button here that says ask to unmute.
Sorry.
Yeah.
There she is.
There she is.
I just finished eating dinner and went, oh my God, I've done it again. Maybe I should come on at 10:30.
Yeah, well, yes, you could. You always come in after I've shown the videos, and the videos are actually our talking point, Liz.
I know.
Beautiful sigh, wasn't it? I know.
I'm just,
I know.
I actually got the GP gave me today and tomorrow off, but I'm only taking tomorrow off.